Yeah. What's good, y'all? My name's Open Book. This is my partner.
Hey guys, this is Hearth. Welcome back to Trusapce.
Yep, and this is your weekly horoscope. So let's get into the energy of the week and see how we can, take advantage of the energies and avoid pitfalls. So, looking at Monday, February 27th, we have the Moon conjuncting Mars in Gemini. How do you think this is going to play out?
So right now we're gonna be in the end. Our emotion, our feelings is gonna be focused on our thoughts and ideas. It's gonna be focused on the broad and decisive thoughts and ideas coming from what we've been emotionally focusing on since the moon was in Taurus before the moon went to Gemini, and this allows us to emotionally focus on some form of value, which again right now allows us to go communicate or argue about something. So if we have a emotion, if we did not connect emotionally to whatever value we wanted, then right now the moon we wouldn't have anything to communicate about. So as the moon conjunct to Mars, you're not gonna feel emotionally passionate to connect with anything since you're gonna be because Mars in Gemini creates this sort of energy where it's just random arguments, random fights, which are really backed up by nothing. So right now, if you actually emotionally focused on some form of value, now we could emotionally communicate about something, so and connect it to your passion and desire, and make your the way you take action on what you're thinking about actually put some feelings and emotion behind and reflect on it. Since Mars and Gemini have been here for a while, allowing us to develop all type of ways we could uh, take action on what we're communicating about.
Yeah, that the addition of the reflection kind of allows Mars as it's experimenting in Gemini and being curious of where that driving force, that passion can go. The moon kind of adds like a slowing down element, or like add with that added reflection. You can kind of see where your experimentations are going, where the energy that you're exerting into conversation, into analyzing different thoughts and concepts, and how that's making you feel. Because a lot of the times when you're in that mental realm, you don't have that additional emotional support, or at least you can get further and further away from it. I feel like the moon coming in can really help with that, or it can stir up the pot, add a little bit more fire too, depending on where your emotions are. But either way, you're gonna understand where you're putting your energy and how it's affecting your emotions. Moon in Gemini is making a sextile with Venus and Chiron and Aries. How do you think this is going to play out?
So this sexta is allowing you to see an opportunity on how to utilize basically this aggressive or passionate emotional stance that you're on to communicate or to argue. But the sex is allowing you to see opportunity on how to take Venus and Chiron. Venus is what you love, appreciate, how what you like to relate, how you like to create harmony in, and Chiron is your wounds and your past things along this line. But right now, this energy is forcing you to really give birth to and create a new beginning for these things. And the moon conjuncting Mars in Gemini could be the perfect way on grounding and handling these energies, since Venus and Chiron in Aries could be very individualistic and single-minded and may not know how to direct their energies properly, and that leads to like um, by ways of utilizing Venus, where you cannot connect your what you love and appreciate with other people. So, but Mars in the moon conjunct Mars in Gemini is allowing you to figure out ways on communicating these things and grounding them through communicating them instead of them being so single-minded.
Yeah, yeah, adding that breath of open mindedness in that exploration, so that Venus and Aries is maybe going to applaud you to try those new things, to seek out new pleasures, to seek out new relationships, but to have the open mindedness to still observe, to still analyze, and to still collect information instead of just getting lost in the feeling of something new, the feeling of immediate gratification. Still have your wits, what's about you sometimes, but still, Gemini and Aries energy, that combo of springtime. It's like, yo, they probably hate Taurus. You know, Taurus is like, slow down. What about the resources that we have? They're just like, shut the fuck up, Taurus. You know, they're just trying to go on an adventure. You know,
You know
go
that.
out and experiment ideas. Taurus is telling them about what they need to do and all of the traditions and all of the slower aspects. But
I
Aries
like
and
the
Gemini
way
want to get things going.
I like the way you talked about it because, like, when you think about it from a biology point of view, your respiratory system and your brain nervous system, it's easy for you to control them. You could breathe, you could control your vision, and become a passion for things. But Taurus, you can't really tap into that. That's more like involuntary. So when you have more access to these things, you kind of pay the price later for what happens to your hormonal system. If you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I get what you mean. Yeah, yeah, it sets off an imbalance later because yeah, Taurus, your hormonal system can't keep up. That's why you be getting tired when you know do a lot of things, experience a lot of thoughts without thinking about how much energy you have or how to maintain an
Mm-hmm.
equilibrium. So you definitely have to be careful with that sextile because there's that opportunity to burn yourself out, to over explore, to over analyze, and the analyzations that you're getting, adding air to the fire of being pleasure and maybe some type of material gain at the moment. But remember, it's Aries, so it's quick, it's direct. So not everything presenting itself may be long lasting. So you really have to be careful
Mm-hmm.
of that and to not go too far.
Because if we do that, that's gonna cause more wounds for Kara and Aries, and that's gonna prevent you from birthing that individuality or that image that you want to do. Because Jupiter is there too, so that, you want to be careful of that. Just present more information that does not shake who you are too quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And then this Moon Mars conjunction is squaring Sun and Pisces. How do you think that's hitting?
So that added more confusing into what you're trying to emotionally communicate about and what you're trying to analyze based upon your passion and your desire. So the sun, you're paying attention and you're taking action on your dreams and illusion, and aka La La Land, trying to see what's possible, trying to put more faith into what you're trying to do. And like in Pisces season, you're not. It's Pisces season is basically the end of everything, where you're sitting back trying to see what you accumulated so far from the spring, fall season, winter season, and trying to see how you can utilize it so far, and like add more faith and see what you gathered. But the square here, this is forcing you, obviously, because your emotion want to communicate about these things, but it's very hard. Because and really, just think about the fact how it's hard for us to communicate what's on our subconscious mind to other people. If we had a dream, how well can we even communicate about it or make sense about it with just language? Not really. It's very hard. So experience that actually every day. And the square right here is making you aware more of how you go about it and go through the necessary learning opportunity and the tension that is necessary, even the frustration to figure out a word, a way of communicating about that dream and illusion, so you could actually ground it. Once you could have a word for it, a way to communicate it, now you could actually go and market it. It's not just a la la land things in your background, in your subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I do see the challenge, like Pisces energy, especially when the sun's in Pisces. We have to rely on our previous travels through all the other signs to keep us grounded in our imaginations, so
Mm-hmm.
that when we imagine things, it's based off of what we've actually lived and what we can conceptualize, not someone
Mm-hmm.
else's reality, someone else's images. But with the moon in Gemini, look how hard that's going to be when we're more, less, more open to concepts, more analytical, more airy, more scattered within, especially emotionally. It may be harder to have those emotional anchors that hold us down into not over obsessing or imaginizing. So this is like, maybe you get nervous with your emotions or over analyze your emotions, and because of that it's feeding your sun in Pisces, and you're starting to come up with a whole bunch of imaginations to these over analyzed thoughts about your feelings, and it can really
Mm-hmm.
play out detrimental. You have to
This
learn
is
how to
where
go with the flow.
Yeah, this is why we had the moon in Taurus earlier, which sextiled the whole Pisces energy, and that
Mm-hmm.
which gave you the opportunity to ground it before you go about it in Gemini time, so it gets very distractive and able to connect them together, and able to piece them together.
100%. 100% for sure. And then we have Venus conjuncting Jupiter in Aries. So how do you think these two benefactors coming together?
Wow. So this is good, kid. A lot of opportunities for you to really um, develop your individuality and what you want to give birth to through really being having that desire to expand. I want to experience and going through this long journey, even though it might be selfish, even though it might be too separative, but it's gonna be worth it because you're gonna gain some form of knowledge and wisdom. It's gonna allow you to grant some form of value, some form of formula or money. When Jupiter later on goes to Taurus, this conjunction to Jupiter is no to Venus is allowing you to add what you love, appreciate, indulge in. How you relate into what you want to experience. So what you're trying to experience is not so dry with Jupiter in Aries here, because Jupiter is just a is also a fire planet. It deals with expansion, and Aries, cardinal fire. Here it could create very inflammatory experiences that if you need Venus to come to cool down a little bit or to add more fire to it in a different way. If you get what I'm saying,
Yeah,
it's gonna
yeah, 100%.
Venus is gonna bring the necessary beautiful moment as you try to experience things along this line, or make you go too far in certain experiences. Yeah, okay.
That's true too, especially with those two getting together.
Yeah.
It
You might
feels
see,
like
you might see experiences, Lucifer, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
yeah, 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 for sure. You really might, you really might, and it'll get you quick too. But look at these two energy. I feel like the counterpart to this alignment would be, um, say Mars and Saturn getting together, um, in a conjunction. But look at what they would represent. Saturn and Mars would represent a more hardened, rigid, grounded, someone who can handle a hard time and build something from themselves from the ground up, but maybe a little bit too conservative and not open to new ideas. While Venus and Jupiter would be, say, royalty, nobility, someone who's always had access to things and always had an abundance of opportunity. Maybe that would lead them to taking things for granted or going too far in certain and not having that necessary rigidity, but they want to be conservative in thought and they will be more open-minded into accepting new things, and into more of a broad in mind. Now, both are extremes, and we need to incorporate the two. So when this conjunction's coming together, know that you can benefit from being in a good place, from having a lot of resources, but know that don't let it make you too soft, if you get what I mean. And it's in Aries too, so it's gonna show you that if you're not soft and running away, you actually can have those blessings. You actually can have those things. If you take that chance for yourself and believe in yourself, and to accept the journey, it's going to be hard, but you go on it, you may find that helping hand on every step of that journey, just because you took that leap of faith to believe in yourself. So,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of positive energy going on Monday, especially with Moon on Mars. It's really energizing start to the week where things can really start off on a good note or start off on a bad note. And look where the Moon is. It's all where you're placing your mind and what you're analyzing. So make sure that you're analyzing the things that make sense into your life, the things that you want more information of. And those are the things that you're going to start cascading into your life and bringing towards you on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Moon Day. Looking at Tuesday, we have the moon in late Gemini squaring Neptune in Pisces. How do you think this adds to the energy?
So this is similar to Monday, but this is just a more
Mm-hmm.
intense version of it. So as your emotions are reacting to your broad thoughts and ideas about you, what you analyzed so far about what you wanted to stabilize while the moon was in Taurus. Rather, this square is making you see how deep can you really go? Challenge this is Neptune and Pisces is your subconscious mind in late degrees challenging you. How can you emotionally react to your thoughts and ideas and create opportunities for yourself to communicate about these deep things, or are you gonna are you gonna allow them to basically use you to basically escape reality, or experience some form of chaos through confusion, through obviously creating obviously like all type of frequencies. And when the moon is in Gemini, you're already indecisive. So when the Neptune and Pisces also at the squares here, so there's more indecision because you don't know where all these things are coming from.
Exactly. So much influences that may be influencing your mind. It may be driving you crazy, and all the places that you can go that you believe in. We often don't believe or understand our beliefs. Obviously, this is the subconscious mind and it's the subtler things. But man, I would talk to
Mm-hmm.
people, especially in this era of wokeness and just self defensiveness and shit like that. I come across people with some beliefs that if they really took in what they were saying, they would realize that the reality that they've experienced is beyond that belief, that they already have experienced that belief not being the boundary of the reality that they had claimed for themselves. So, with
Mm-hmm.
these limited belief systems, it really can get very cramped, if you get what I mean. Or unchecked belief systems too, where you believe in a
Oh.
whole bunch of stuff that is not real. When that Pisces energy goes off, that's not grounded in within your mentality or within reality. Now you're adding this non, lesser of an emotion, more analytical feeling to these beliefs. You can add more ideas to them, really fuel them, or and send you into more confusion. Basically, what I'm trying to say.
Basically, this is when Kanye West on the podcast, and he claimed basically he's the next Moses, and he's here to save the Hebrew Israelite. Basically, but when he
Yeah,
communicated about that, he was barely even was able to communicate about it.
yeah. 100%, 100%, and somehow you can feel him, but or where he's going, but
And
he could,
it's
he could have talked about it. He could have bring the words to it.
it's funny how you say feel him, because we didn't feel him in a direct way. We felt him in a very indecisive, all over the place, tap dancing, talk about this, talk about that, and then not even connecting things together. It's almost like your subconscious mind is talking to you and such to put words to it. But like,
Mhm. And then he ran away after, like he just disappeared after, which is very Piscean, with
yeah.
very Piscean. But yeah, we may have a battle with our mind, and if you're coming into that struggle, you may have to check that belief system of yours and really start to think, does my reality really check that in? Like, we really have to be humble with those types of energies, by knowing that there's so much influences that are going into our life that are affecting our minds, that this really has to go into consideration on Tuesday, or so we can really be influenced into saying things and doing things and getting a little bit more distant, and kind of moving away from our true goals, from the true state of being that we want to be in. So yeah, that's how Tuesday's looking at Wednesday. We have the moon in Cancer trining the sun in Pisces. A little bit more assistance now with this emotional energy. How do you think this is going to play out?
So right now we're gonna be emotionally reacting to the energy of initiating feelings and emotions and ways of connecting to our domestic issues and making sense of all the thoughts and ideas and the arguments that we went through so far, and try to ground them to our home, try to feel them on our heart, and try to make sense of them, reflect on them. And then now the trine with the sun and Pisces, based on how we feel through what we started with the new moon in Pisces, whatever dream or illusion we want to give birth to. Aries, we fought for it. Taurus, we grounded it. Gemini, we talked about it. Now in Cancer, we feeling to it. We're trying to emotionally connect with it, so we could direct all this subconscious influence that we've been paying attention to, so we could actually become aware of what we wanted to do instead of get lost in the spicy season. Have a golem, have a character, have a goal, so we could actually build on it, add more fluidity, add more faith, add more belief. So the moon in Cancer could say you're adding more direct emotion connection to that dream and illusion, as opposed to allow it to be so just a feeling that you experience and then you let it go. You don't go back to it. And moon in Cancer, you wanna feel it, you wanna connect to it. But also here with the sun and Pisces, it's gonna allow you to bring more broad scope to your direct to your emotional nature, not make it so direct and single minded, but know how to go about how you feel based on what you analyze so far in a much more direct way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Um, with the maybe when the moon was in Gemini, you could, play off or entertain the idea of, connecting with different things, more analyzing those things. And it may be hard because you're trying to, I imagine an ideal future with, variables. But as the moon goes into Cancer, there will become less variables and you'll be a little bit more aware of what you care about. So that's why we shouldn't be making too much drastic decisions before. But with the moon in Cancer, you'll kind of understand how you feel about the things, like what we were saying, how you feel about these things that you are imagining about, well, about your subconscious influences, and which ones that you really want to hold on to, which ones hit closest to home. You'll really have that deep introspective experience with the trine in Pisces. But with this heightened sensitivity, there's also the fear of vulnerability. So if we're not ready to experience a little bit of vulnerability, like vulnerability is where you find your answers, or it's where you kind of push through things. And the powerful water signs embrace vulnerability. Look at artists that embrace the vulnerability, embrace the maybe the breaks and cracks in their voices, and because of that, it gives them more identity, and you love them for it and stuff like that. And you feel that's how you can connect and make deeper connections. Water signs, often because of this deep sensitivity, we run away from that feeling of vulnerability and we end up becoming sensitive instead of emotional. Emotional, you can handle a whole bunch of emotions. Sensitivity, you can't handle any emotions. You're very
You can swim.
fairly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. But this is interesting here because the moon in Cancer could put you in a state of like wanting to emotionally eat everything. Because I know Cancer energy could lead to impulsive eating and things along this line. This is why like kind of females deal with their emotion through eating, especially junk food and sugary food, high calorie food. So with the sun and Pisces and this trine could create too many opportunity to really be emotionally impulsive with everything that the sun and Pisces is presenting to you. And so you want to be careful here. You don't have to care about every single dream and illusion that the sun you're becoming aware of.
Exactly. Trying to vote that
Yeah.
massive imagination and imaginative capacity to the things that you genuinely care about, and try and see where they can go, and then those imaginations are literally paving the pathways to future experiences for you to actually live out those experiences. But all of the flunked out shit that you want to think about for the things that you actually don't care about, that you're actually not going to put in the work into doing, and that you're actually not going to stick with, that you're going to change your mind and feel different about later, that's not close to who you are, they're not going to stick around. So
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday, man, deep introspection, some deep introspection into where your influences are coming from, and which ones you really want to hold into, and which ones you need to use that immune system and flush out. Those subconscious influences and those imaginations that is not from your heart center, but it's influenced by some energy that's around you. You need to deploy some of those immune cells and start attacking those pathogens. Looking at the moon in Cancer squaring Venus, conjuncting Jupiter in Aries, how do you think that square is going to go?
So like this is adding more friction, fire, so you don't get lost in all these emotions and feelings, which might lead you too much in the yin realm to become too focused on escapism and not taking action. Here, the square is gonna make you take go through learning opportunity based on what you love and appreciate, what you want to expand on in terms of what you want to birth, try to put you through this situation so you don't get too comfortable at home as you're trying to emotionally reflect and connect on what you want to take action based upon your dreams and your illusion.
Yeah, for sure. Venus in Jupiter is rewarding us for bold action. It's rewarding us for dynamic action. So it's encouraging us to support that challenge, that friction, from that
Mm-hmm.
benefit. You know, may it's challenging your comfortability. Maybe if you were to stay having this imagination, stay in this emotional state of being, you'll stay comfortable. But Venus and Jupiter is like, nah, nah. There's an opportunity. If you were to take that leap, if you were to take that bold move, you would find out that you can still be comfortable while moving, and that's how we start maximizing uh, that water energy in the fullest. Now our imagination and our emotional ability is going into the unknown future, the future that we want to create for ourselves. That's what we're emotionally attaching to, and then eventually that water condenses down into a earth, and then it's reality within us. So we should be focusing on that energy on Wednesday. Looking at Thursday, we have Mercury conjuncting Saturn in Aquarius. So Saturn in Aquarius is like 29 degrees. It's just like at the edge. We're about to have that Saturn in Pisces. Wow, Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces. It's gonna be crazy. How do you think this energy is gonna hit us?
So right now, Saturn Aquarius, how we want to create a reality for ourselves, how we want to create restrictions and boundaries when it comes to our part of the group, how we can associate ourselves in this collective. The Mercury with this conjunction is gonna allow us to really uh, add more way of thinking to what we've been trying to add more restrictions and boundaries in. Or Saturn Aquarius is gonna add more restrictions and boundaries to how you trying to what you're trying to think about and how you trying to go about it. Depending if you put in the work, you've been really developing thoughts and ideas and new mentalities that could really fit this Aquarius energy that we're moving into. Really progressive thoughts and ideas. If you, then the conjunction is gonna allow you to really figure out ways you could bring them more into reality. Like Aquarius is the most realistic air sign. It wants to bring its thoughts into reality. It's ruled by Saturn compared to Venus. Libra is ruled by Venus, or Gemini ruled by Mercury. So this really good idea to really bring reality to what you've been thinking or what you've been analyzing, communicating about. That's if you've been thinking, communicating, analyzing about the right things and really paying attention to the right symbols. Like Mercury goes beyond just words and ideas. Mercury it's how it's like our micro understanding of everything within our immediate surrounding, because it's opposite to like Jupiter, which would be like our right brain. So like Mercury
Yeah.
plays out in every. This is why Mercury deals with your siblings, your co-workers, like everything within your immediate surroundings is like symbols for you to understand different messages that are being communicated from higher above, which would be the macro understanding, and that house Sagittarius. So like Mercury is like beyond like what people kind of could even communicate. But that's the whole point
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you would use familiarity to establish a communication about higher concepts, just like how you would use metaphors.
Rhyming. Exactly.
Exactly,
Exactly.
man. But he's so right in terms of how you can bring those thoughts into reality, and depending on what thoughts we're holding. So that's why you have to really pay attention to what's on your mind and who you are associating with and how they feed into that. But it can be dangerous with this Aquarius energy because man, look at the world around us. Like we were talking about that in the lecture the other day about Newtonian physics and kind of how it put us in an intellectual box of looking at the world. So because and it is right and it's useful information. So and look at how much if we give a lot of our thought and we can really solidify certain things into reality. And then our reality right now really represents that Newtonian physics because of the mechanical, solid nature, materialistic nature of the world and the institutions that we are a part of because of this body of knowledge. But it traps us because it doesn't take into account energy and the dynamic effects of energy. So when we're trying to look at reality, in terms of energy, because we had made our thoughts reality, it's hard to see past the boundaries of those ideas from those institutions. Another example is just the Western mind versus the Eastern mind.
Yeah.
It's a collective body of knowledge that kind of makes your reality, and you don't even know what's going on the eastern side. That's a whole different reality that you don't even consider. That's just yours. Maybe there's aspects of it that you could utilize, and same vice versa, you know. But that body of knowledge became so real that you kind of close yourself off to everything else. That's why Aquarius really need to practice open-mindedness. Aquarius always has to be the detective, the discoverer, ingesting new information, looking at both sides, knowing what the opposition is going to say before they say it, and staying fresh instead of staying in an echo chamber, because that could be dangerous. Aquarius, you need to keep that sword sharp, because otherwise it'll be one-sided, and that's instead of the dual edge. You know, if it'll be one-sided, and that side's going to be the one that's pointed towards you, if you get what I mean. So yeah, that's how Thursday is looking. Looking at Friday, we have the moon in late Cancer opposing Pluto in Capricorn. How do you think this is going to be hitting us on Friday?
So right now, as you're diving deeper in your emotions and feelings, trying to connect and to reflect on what you've been thinking about so far, you're gonna see the opposition of Pluto and Capricorn, what you really need to face and really what we've been dealing with for so long, which is basically our power and control issues, and how can we really take a position when it comes to our business and status and not allow Pluto and Capricorn take our business status, in a sense, lose our business, close our business, and things along this line. This is why obviously it's better for you to take action on maybe doing an online business as opposed to a physical business, since right now we obviously see or any business physical is closing down, but an online business which fits into the concept of Aquarius and so on and so forth really it sets you up for the future. There's no way you can lose with an online business because it gives you a more nomadic capacity, and you could move time faster, if you get what I'm saying, as opposed to having a physical business. Not to say like a physical business is bad or anything, because it's obviously necessary. But the moon in late Cancer and opposite Pluto in Capricorn, so it's making you to really take action and control how you feel, so you don't reflect too long and forget that Pluto in Capricorn is destroying everything as you're seeing how you feel. So you gotta move quickly. Yeah.
For sure, for sure, and the moon's gonna bring a reflection to that whole process of that impeding transformation that we are due to make, that we're being forced to make, and we the whole transit of Pluto, I feel like, was putting that intensity on our responsibility, showing us look at all the conversations that has been happening in terms of sovereignty and self responsibility. The people who that really blew
Mm-hmm.
off, the Andrew Tates, you know, the people talking about self accountability. Pluto's been bringing that intense energy that is necessary. That is the change that we need to make. And it's good for people to be into those mindsets because things are about to get tough, or things are about to change, and you have to be able to navigate through that change. So while the moon's in Cancer, while we're in a comfortable spot or emotionally responding to our comfortable spot, it's going to show us, while opposing Pluto in Capricorn, it's going to show us how comfortable we are with that level of change, with that level of intensity, if we're willing to take it on or not enough. If you find yourself running to comfort a little bit more, you know where you are, know that it's going to be inevitable that you have to make that decision. So do what you got to do to not hold so tightly onto you those comforts, because Pluto snatched that shit out your hand. Pluto will snatch that shit right out your hand, and you'll have no say, and you'll end up crying, and nobody will care. But if you
Mm-hmm.
had let it go yourself and had walked away from it, there were no tears. No tears had to be involved in it. No hurt feelings had to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
What about Moon in conjuncting Mercury in Pisces?
The moon conjunction Mercury in Pisces. Oh, so obviously, as you're emotionally focused on your home, family, domestic issues, you may not be paying attention to your way of thinking. Because Mercury now in Pisces, so what we're thinking, communicate, analyze about is going to be surrounded around our dreams, illusion, and how can we bring some form of symbol way of communicating about it, because Mercury is debilitated here. So Mercury likes to move, like in Aquarius, it was able to move fast and enjoy the oxygen. Here it goes under the water, so it becomes deoxygenated. So it doesn't know how to travel. It's gonna be really hard. It's gonna be really hard for you to communicate or even think or develop a stable mindset about where you are. And this in conjunction is gonna irritate you in the fact that you thinking about some form of dreams and illusions, but you're trying to emotionally connect with something that kind of makes sense and kind of closer, but you're not
If
seeing
it,
how the conjunction is creating the unsubtleness in the water. If you get what I'm saying, because Moon in Cancer is a closer water, while the Mercury in Pisces is a further part of the water.
for sure, like one's like the wave, one's like the body of water, or like different
Mm-hmm.
aspects of it. But that sounds like, like the Wim Hof method of breathing, where you really fixate hyper within the breathing, really taking the deep breaths into the deeper of the lungs, and blowing out, and not blowing out all the way, kind of like semi hyperventilating, hyper oxygenating the body. You're able to hold your breath
Mm-hmm.
for longer periods of time. So if you were to do that before you go to a pool or underwater, you would be able to stay under the water for a longer time
Oh.
than if you just went in there cold without doing that breathing technique and hyper oxygenating the body beforehand. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll come into real test of how cloudy the mind gets of when we were in Pisces. You didn't take enough breaths when it was in Mercury and Aquarius. So you may have to come up from talking about the dreams and illusions and more broad scale things, and take a couple of breaths of air. Take those deep breaths of air in terms of educating yourself and getting your mind right. Making sure you know where you're coming from and your well intentioned ideas and thoughts before you start jumping back into the dream realm. It'll be
Mm-hmm.
clearer. You'll be able to sort out your emotions better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Friday. Looking at Saturday, Moon in Leo is trining Jupiter, Chiron, and Venus in Aries. I think this mega trine is gonna help our emotions.
So based upon whatever we emotionally connected to when the moon was in Cancer, the moon in Leo is the time for us to jump in the energy of trying to entertaining it, expressing it, having fun with it through being fixated and stubborn and that vision and imagination, and really bringing life to it through taking action on it and being adding some truth to it and self expression, aka the Jesus energy, Moon and Leo, and that's creating the opportunity for us to try out what you've been expanding and try to bring our experiences, our knowledge that we've been developing in Aries so far, and bring it on the stage, or bring that our sense of understanding our wounds we learned so far, how we got wounded. So when the moon goes into Leo, now we know how to express ourselves, and maybe we deal with it and create the opportunity for that to heal, or even create the opportunity for us to go too far, which might create damages. But it's necessary opportunity, and it's because Jupiter is there. So Karyan, you get Jupiter is preventing Karyan from being too scared and giving an extra push. So when the moon comes to Leo, you could do more. And Venus obviously is making you more appreciate and want to indulge on whatever you want to give birth to. So that's all helping Karyan, so on and so forth.
For sure, for sure. When you kind of reflect from that comfortable space, it's so much, it's a lot easier to be, or when you connect with home, it's so much easier to be confident within yourself, or within how you feel, or to know where you want to direct your energies, what you want to imagine, coming off of that comfort place. So you can still see that help that the moon and Leo gives, to that encouragement to move forward, to chase that vital energy, to chase those imaginations of how you feel and wanting to go and express yourself. But if we were caring about dumb shit, that's what we're going to be giving attention to, and then that may be taking up the opportunities that Jupiter, Chiron, and Venus are presenting to us with this, dynamic and bold action. And you might end up, in more of a frustrating situation, more of an overly aggressive situation, more of a situation where you're hyper fixated on individuality, or where it's just you and you're kind of separating yourself from everybody. A little bit more of those narcissistic type tendencies, even if it's well intentioned. When the moon's in Leo, and just Leo energy in general, Leos are very giving. Leos are very well intentioned givers, but sometimes what they're trying to give is some trash, or it's not something. It's something that they like, and they can't just leave it at that. That's what they like, and that other people can like other shit. It's like, no, you have to accept this, or I'm personally disrespected, which is kind of crazy, Leo. But it can lead to that controlling nature, even though it does come from a well-intentioned place. So you're gonna have to check your actions, because things will move forward fast. So even if you have well-intentioned giving of your emotions, you have to make sure that those things are right for you. That is right for you. That's well intentioned of what you're trying to manifest into your life, not just because you want to make someone else happy, not because that shouldn't be on your mind, because that's not your responsibility. But yeah, that's what Saturday's looking kind of. You have to watch out for narcissism that day. To be honest, to overly be selfish, but to take the energy and use it for yourself and to better yourself, or to put yourself in a better position, that inevitably is going to help everybody. Especially if you know that it's going to put you in a better position to help people. Do you? People always forget to do them, and then they try and help people out and give them some flunked out advice or some shit that they don't even know about, because they don't want to go out and do it the goddamn self. We don't want to be in that energy. Settle your energy first.
And you want to focus too, because we're getting closer to like basically the full moon. So whatever it's doing here is gonna be what you're gonna harvest. Yeah, and they're trying to give you
Exactly.
a lot of energy to go for it and to really take action. All that fire to really be passionate and birth the reality. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. For your individuality to really show out and express
Mm.
and reveal itself.
For fire to be created, we have to burn something like physical reality, a sacrifice. So just think about the concept itself. When you try to be passionate or something, you have to sacrifice yourself through what you're eating, through how you take care of yourself, like literally
Your
to the point
energy
you
in
might work
general.
to the point you might be like Michael Jackson. You're working so hard to the point you might experience inflammation in your body, experience body injuries. That's what a lot of like true artists go through. Like people perform and shit like that on all level.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That little information because of the performance, the exerting of vitality. It's interesting. That is what you're taking from an
Mm-hmm.
artist, especially like
They literally,
high energy
dude,
people.
they play. They're literally playing out the whole story of Jesus going to get crucified. Someone who's expressing his solar plexus, and like, but you crucifying yourself. Like, and if we keep it a buck,
Yep. Yep. I think of that with Oda when he's putting up One Piece chapters. Sometimes I
yeah,
get nasty
no,
thoughts. I'm
that's
like,
he.
"What do you mean a break, nigga? What do you mean break? Like draw you motherfucker." I'm like, "Oh, he might be sick. Uh, he has friends and family. He's been doing this for 20 years. You know, maybe I should give this nigga a break. Like, damn, why am I so vicious?" He's exposed that mean streak in you. But yeah, that's how Saturday is looking. Looking at Sunday, we have the moon in Leo opposing Saturn in Aquarius. So it being at the end of Leo, opposing Saturn in Aquarius. How do you think this is going to hit us all?
So right now, whatever you're gonna be emotionally focused on expressing on this stage or entertaining or having fun with, based upon what your home got you comfortable with or what you connected with on a heart chakra level, based upon your dreams and illusion, you're gonna experience the opposition of Saturn and Aquarius. Then to see if you can integrate your own truth, your own self-expression into what's happening in society with all those restrictions, boundaries, and ways of realities that are being created in society, all the way to the point that people are interested in integrating themselves in different ways. For example, my brother likes to integrate himself into he likes to communicate with people on Discords. Sean likes to communicate with people on Twitch to listen to such techno music, and you probably figure out your own way to connect and find a group somewhere in the internet to connect with. And Saturday Aquarius is basically you trying to make that part of your reality. If you've been really paying attention, you could see how you could solidify some form of income, some form of status out of it, as opposed to it just be a place where you were sharing information. But not to say information is not valuable, because information itself is valuable. So, but that's the whole point, to connect on a more. But if you brought more reality to it, you probably could have used it to make money and shit like that, or figure out a way to eventually make money. So the opposition asking you to see, can you integrate your own self-expression, your own truth, based upon what you started and the new moon and Pisces, what you had a dream and an illusion about.
100%. It sounds like becoming a creator, not just a consumer. You know what I mean? Where you can
Mm-hmm.
be a part of these things, but are you a creator? You know, you can play on, Minecraft or, whatever, that has like mods and shit like that you can add on. Or are you one of the people that are adding on to that world and its capabilities and what it can do, adding your imagination, your take on it, and adding towards it? There's going to be more where you have to make that decision. Are you just going to
Yeah.
be entertained, or are you going to be an active participant in this thing that you're collected to?
Yeah, that's funny. My brother is a moderator on some form of server. So he's basically the judge of people who come in and come out of the server. So when people come in and
Doku.
talk trash or try to say information that does not line up with the truth, Aquarius, it goes against the idea of connecting together to make this a nice environment for people to share ideas, he has to kick them out
Yeah,
of the server. And he tells me stories about how people almost like they hijack servers. They sound like basically digital nomads. Is it real life shit, you know?
that's interesting. Just come to a fandom and try and shit on them or try and troll them or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that world's insane. I couldn't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
How would you know that's not, some Chinese boss just trying to politically influence you into voting for Joe Biden in the next election? That's funny. On Skyrim, it's like, where did this come from? But yeah, that's how. What about the Sun in Pisces sextiling Uranus and Taurus? right before the new moon too.
So this is interesting. So Uranus, how we want to be unique and original, how we want to rebel against what's old and outdated through gaining some form of new form of safety and security through our value, or adding some form of technological advancement into what we want to securitize for ourselves. The sextile with the Sun and Pisces is I like to see opportunities on how you could actually achieve that. I bet with when the Sun in Aquarius, you became aware of what the information that are necessary for you to add the the energy for you to go about what you need when it comes to Uranus and Taurus, since Uranus was Aquarius. But now with the Sun and Pisces, if you have the necessary information, now you could add the sense of faith, belief behind what you gathered so far, because you are on the, you know, you're on the right path. And what is Aquarius? I know. So if you know, now you could believe. But if you don't know, then you can't believe. And the sixth is allowing to see an opportunity how you could go about that.
That's facts. That's facts. That reminds me of like say like a musician, you know, like the notes. It's like you know the notes, or it's like you know the theory, but where the music comes from and putting it all together, you know, that comes after. But you have to know the notes to kind of put them together in a cohesive way. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Aquarius is very important in terms of your Pisces, your subconscious mind.
Even to the point that Aquarius rule the higher aspect of your nervous system that allow you to connect a multitude of things. And we know if you want to give a magical performance, you need to have to tap into this Aquarius energy, which leads to Pisces. And I bet you the
A
best
clear
performer
mind.
are like all that. Oh, exactly. Yeah.
100%, 100%, and it can definitely be utilized. And looking at, you know, those alignments, Pisces, the Sun in Pisces hasn't had contact with, you know, that Earth and energy in a while, so
Mm-hmm.
it can really be a grounding and solidifying factor for our imaginations, kind of being a wake up call, maybe solidifying things or reminding us about our bodies. You know, maybe we're daydreaming a little bit, but it's reminding us about our bodies, or you know, kind of like in a lucid dream, you know, you kind of remember about your body and then you're able to be a little bit more lucid within the dream. So some tangibility even in your imagination and la la land, being more sensual about it. You know, the more you're to incorporate your senses, your brain wouldn't be able to distinguish whether this is a dream or this is real life, and then you'll actually
Mm-hmm.
start developing the things like this is things that people do. Athletes would be lucid dreaming to practice and train in their sleep. Same thing with everybody, you know,
Yeah,
with everybody in every application.
like athletes, things along these lines, they have more awareness of the senses. That's what an athlete is. He has a more awareness of his senses throughout his body, so he can move his body in different ways that you can, basically.
An intuitive physicist is what how I look at them, where they don't know the
Yeah.
math, but they know the math. If you get what I mean.
This is actually this is why they say in sports it's very dangerous. Or you know how kids people put their kids in team sports and shit like that. So some people actually debated that it's very dangerous due to the fact that if you take a kid at a young age and make him specialize in one sport, what he does, he lose his capacity to move in different ways. Like
Yeah,
not all sports give you the capacity to play out all sports. If you get what I'm saying, uh, gymnasts are trained in multitude of aspects that deal with strength and flexibility, which allow them to do other sports. But other sports can do gymnast related things, if you get what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Look at soccer players; they're so bottom heavy, you know, and it's more so about
Mm-hmm.
legs and leg
Mm-hmm.
strength and
Mm-hmm.
leg coordination, not less about hand-eye coordination. And if you would put a soccer
Mm-hmm.
player into basketball, all the times like in school, you would see that they couldn't dribble or shoot for shit, but their footwork was
Mm-hmm.
good. Like they would be able to get to places that other people wouldn't be able to get to. So you know, like they didn't have the upper body dexterity, but their footwork stayed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. But yeah, on Sunday, definitely going to be a lot of that challenging aspect with the opposition with the moon, with Saturn and Aquarius, of you trying to find your place within this collective reality, and how you can express your own individuality in a healthy way within the reality that we are setting up in, where we are forced to be intertwined with everybody, and we're forced to get along to certain accords. So what place is for you within that? You're gonna have to make a decision based off of how you feel with that, and how you emotionally express yourself. And Pisces, the sun in Pisces sextile Uranus, is kind of, grounding your imaginations, tapping you into the possibilities of what's new, and kind of grounding your imaginations into your physical nature.
But it's also giving you chances to escape your reality if your reality get too tough. But not to the point that you just want to run away, but to the point that you could jump to like a dream and jump to use that dream as a way to inspire you while in the third dimension, as everything getting destabilized. If you get what I'm saying, it's like helping you to jump from your
Hmm.
body, Taurus, to your subconscious mind, Pisces, and then back and forth, back and forth.
Some healthy delusion, man, well, for sure, because sometimes you have to believe in things that you haven't seen. So a little bit is
Mm-hmm.
definitely useful, as long as you know what you're doing. But yeah, guys, that's how the week is looking. Thanks for watching. Check out our website, truespace.biz. Check out our Instagram, truespace_, and yeah, we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Take care.